What is going on, everybody? Bobby Five back with my man Eric Sheets-Haber. We are going to finish covering basically our final thoughts on the PGA this week. And Sheets, I'm just going to start it off with you and ask, has anything really changed much for you since yesterday, and what are you sort of focusing on?
Yeah, a little bit. First of all, I wanted to mention to you that, with baseball, but more basketball kind of coming back, the difference between the way that projections can vary between golfers, and what they're projected for and what they put up, as opposed to, say, basketball, is just so wild. You know what I mean? Like if you like LeBron James, when he gets projected for like 55 points or whatever, I totally forgot what these numbers are supposed to be. Was it 55? That's what he usually gets, whatever. So he's going to get between like 50 and 60 just so often, right? Or whatever it is. But these golfers, they could go between like 30 and like 120. It's just nuts. So yeah. I know, and it's funny when so I've been doing a little work on that, like kind of in general, and just to see that, just even the deviation between some of these guys is just kind of amazing. So anyway, well, I'll go over this thing some other time. But so these are the things that I've kind of changed. So when we last spoke, my idea was that I was going to play a really balanced build, but I was going to get not talked into. After speaking with you, I was going to do a couple of lineups also with a little more top heavy. But what I did find, this is actually going to be really funny for people to watch the video and tweet it, is I was shuffling around with some of these lower price guys, and you know who I'm going to end up with like over 20% of?
Who's that?
JT Poston.
Oh my God, that was a guy I mentioned yesterday.
Well, it was the guy that I got mad at for having the abbreviations.
That's right.
So I put in my tweet, massive hate for JT Poston and CT Pan. So I ended up with kind of a decent amount of him, actually. So let me just kind of go over what I did.
Yeah,
so,
you've got a lot of stuff that is a little different than mine here.
Oh, totally, which is great. You know what I mean? So we'll get back to the Rory lineups in a minute. So the majority of what I'm doing is still hovering around playing these 9K guys, like between Webb Simpson down to Sun JM. And you can see I'm pretty healthy and heavy on pretty much all of them. Reed, M, Rahm, Simpson. That's the main part of what I'm doing. But what I did do, and Xander, but what I did do was get a little more diverse with some of these other guys. Like, even though I'm only playing 20 lineups, I'm using a couple with Shane Lowry. I got off of Varner a little bit. I'm only playing one lineup with him. I got off of English a little bit. I was going to play more of Homa, but I just have a couple with him. I'm still pretty heavy on Horschel with 25%, but I also spread around a little more. I played some Ryan Moore. I played some Kevin Kisner. I played a little Brian Harmon. And the way, just, my process, the way I did it is I kind of looked at my sheets and looked at who I liked and whatever, and just was even close, I would try to default with the guy that's a little lesser owned. So I didn't really take any really big stands in the lower ranges. So that's kind of where I ended up with that build. And in the secondary build, where I had a top guy, I couldn't get to them. I couldn't get to Thomas and Bryson or any of them, but I did get up to Rory. Okay. And I did get up to Rory and to Matsuyama in some variations. And all that ended up having to do was just play two of the lower guys more. So I ended up having to play, say, Kisner, English, and Na. You know what I mean? Or and Poston and Reevy. Reevy's another guy I threw in there. Kisner, Na, and Homa. So you probably figured that out, when you wanted to play these 9K guys or whatever, or the higher price guys, that you needed to, play like three of these sub 7K, sub 7,400 guys to make them work. So I did, as I mentioned, probably 20% of my lineups as this type of build, and the other 20% the other 80% are going to be the balanced build. And the only thing I would say is that I might get, I don't know. I think I'm kind of content with my exposure. I got into Finau a little bit more than I originally was. I guess that's on DraftKings pretty much my thing. I also threw in a lineup with Justin Rose. And aside from that, I mean, those are the main differences, I guess, between what we talked about yesterday and today. What about you?
Yeah, I'm still thinning out my field a little bit, to be honest with you. I have my highest owned player is still Rory, but
Okay.
again, I'm more spread out than you are, and I'm taking a lot more shots on these guys. So let me just point out a couple things that I've been like paying attention to. So obviously, we only have 135 players, and if you have 65 making the cut, obviously with ties that could even be extended. So you're basically 50% to make the cut. I mean, if you were just a random player.
Yeah.
So anyway, if we're going to embrace these guys, I feel like it's more of even the time to do it, especially because the course is going to play tougher and you're going to have maybe some up and down rounds. But if you get a guy who puts together, a 5, 6, 7 under that could end up being tied for 11th or 9th, that you're getting at minimum or near minimum cost, I feel like it's easier to play these top guys together because I still stand by that most of them are going to come from the 9K plus range. Now, I think that the 9K plus build is going to be pretty common, but I think there's still plenty of ways to differentiate with that build. They're just a lot of people are going to keep those guys in that range and then play the 7K plus guys. I'm trying to keep it on most of my main lineups where I have at least 2 players in the 6K ranges, but those players are going to be often.
Well, this is what I want to do. Let's share your screen, okay? Because part of the reasons I want to do that because I also want to just go over some of the things on the spreadsheet that I have, but I'm really not really supposed to show people. So this way, you'll share your screen, and I'm gonna talk about some ownership stuff that I noticed while you're sharing your lineup builds.
Okay, yeah, just give me
Cool?
once you're done.
So I stopped share.
Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, so basically, I'm still very spread out. You can see with my ownerships. Now, I've got a long ways to whittle down over here, and I think I'm going to end up with probably maybe even higher on Furyk than like 15 or 20% potentially. I sort of feel the best about him of all these guys to just sort of make the cut. He plays well here. And like I said, you can put together one of those 6, 7 unders for the weekend, for the whole week. And I think you're going to be okay with some of these minimum cost guys. Now, some guys are going to outdo that, but I've got them paired together a lot. And then I've got some other builds where I didn't. Over here, I didn't go below 7K, but I played the 2 guys at 7,200. It's really, there's a lot of different options. There's a lot of good options out there. So what I'm trying to do is really get a lot of exposure again to these multiple 6K-ish guys. Troy Merritt, another one.
Oh, no, wait, no. What are you playing again? I always feel like I should ask.
I've got 2 555s, a bunch of. I'm maxing out the million.
Okay.
I'm playing other stuff, whatever it's in there.
You doing the single entries also?
Yeah, the 200, all that stuff. And you can see right now Rory's in most of my bigger buy-in lineup.
Okay.
I'm sort of not sure what I'm going to end up doing with Webb. I'm still lost on this whole range, and I just sort of wanted to play the ownership game. But if I'm going to take some other good shots, I don't need to. But up here, I sort of am playing a more chalkier build, so I wanted to play Webb Simpson with my more chalky builds and get away from the Cantlay chalk. And then with my less chalky builds, play Cantlay, who I like as my chalk over here. But I've got the chalk guys, but then I've got Willett, Merritt, and Furyk, who are all going to be in the single percentage ownership. And if you get those guys to come through for you.
Which guys?
I have Willett, Merritt, and Furyk in one of my – I mean, look, I could easily make other arguments for other guys here, which is partially why you see the low ownership, which will, again, be thinned out. But I expect to have 15 to 20% of Furyk and Merritt by the end of this. I may switch away from Merritt a little bit. There's a couple other guys who I started considering. I mentioned Willett at 7K. Norlander, I think I'm going to end up with more than 10% of him at least, maybe even.
So here's something that, again, as you go through these that I did in my spreadsheet or whatever. So as I mentioned before, I took like data from like a lot of different projection sites and a lot of different whatever to try to just figure out, where there's differences and where there's similarities or whatever it is. And one of the ways I ranked these things was based on I put like ownership columns for every place, and I have an average of all of them to kind of smooth it out a little bit. So like, for example, like Willett, I mean, one of the sites, one you probably use has like under 4%, but a couple of other them have like closer to 6. And that's one of the things I like to do is see what type of guys also have kind of a big deviation in even ownership projections. Like for example, like Abraham Answer. Okay, depending on where you look, and again, these are all reputable places. You could I find a couple of places that are projecting with 20% and 2 others that are projecting with 12. You know what I mean? And that actually is a big difference.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah, and I'm ranking these things by deviation of which, and he's like the top guy with respect to who is about ownership. And another couple of guys again to kind of look out for, like Lucas Glover. Like in 2 places, he's like a very solid 10% or so, but 2 other places have him like really, really low owned, like 5%. So again, like these are the things I kind of do to kind of break ties. Is just see, if I could even get some variation in ownership that people aren't expecting, maybe whatever. Then like John Rahm, here's another one. Like John Rahm, a couple of places have them at like 15%, but a couple of others have them at 20. You know what I mean? That's a pretty. And I was thinking he was going to be 30 at the beginning of the week. You know what I mean? So it's so the Willett is going to be he's going to be definitely sub 5%. I just want to make sure that when we play these guys. That I know ownership isn't that big of a deal in golf as much as some of the others, but why not? Why not try to get as big of an edge as you can, right?
Yeah.
So who else you got? Who else you got going here?
Tyler Duncan's as a guy I need to add more of, which I've got on my notes here.
Ooh, Duncan?
I mean, look, I'm trying to take shots here with some of these guys. Look, I'm getting 70%. Same thing with Zach.
Well, I'm not saying it's bad. I personally didn't get to it. So he's a guy again that like you probably have like a whole kind of bucket of these like 1%ers, right?
Right.
And if one of them has a freaking big couple of days, that's all you need.
Every week so far.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play those guys, even giving up a little bit of an edge to some of these other guys who are a little bit higher priced. But also there's guys who are like, another one who I'm trying to get more of is Chez Reavie, Oosthuizen, Cabrera Bello, guys who are just like, they're just completely off of everyone's radar, but could easily play well and actually probably will do better on this type of in this type of a situation where they don't need to go out there and shoot, 6 under every day. So I don't know. I'm sort of mixing around. You can see I'm still really spread out. My notes were I want to have, I don't care what the ownership is on him. I think I still want to have Bryce around 20%. But I might go lower on that a little bit because I do like the top guys. So my whole thing of by playing these lower guys is I can be basically overweight on almost all of the high-end guys. Right now I'm behind on Cantlay a little bit because I'm just struggling to, whittle down still. But for the most part, I want to be overweight on most of the guys who are at the top tier that are my favorites. And
how much you have on Wolf?
Not very much.
Okay.
We can look right now. I accidentally shared my other screen a minute ago, which I should have done. Only 1%. I didn't end up.
Well, I'll tell you this. This is again when you're only because you're playing 150 lineups. Do I have? Can I mention this to you? So this was.
By the way, this is an example of what you shouldn't do. You need to whittle down and you can go heavier on the other sides. I can't just take all the top guys, so I'm gonna fine tune it to mostly being McIlroy, Cantlay, and Matsuyama. I want to make that clear. But
when you say whittle down, does that mean you want to get more players?
As I keep going through my lineups, it's probably going to be closer to 40% on those guys in terms of actually volume of money. It might be closer to 60%.
Okay.
Because they'll be in a lot of my bigger lineups. And right now you can see, I sort of have these outlines because I like to wait until the end to make decisions and really go through all my process. But right now you can see in my, hold on, let me just show you my FanDuel other one. I'm playing Bryson. I'm not playing Bryce and them together over there, but I'm playing Bryce, Brooks and Rahm together over here with a couple of with one long shot with Cooch and then a couple safe plays. But anyway, I'm just sort of, I've got my exposures too spread out amongst the top guys. The truth is I prefer Rory partially because the ownership not being on him as high as the other guys, Cantlay, Matsuyama, and then Justin Thomas I'd like to keep getting in more. I have a feeling he is going to bounce back strong. So all of those guys, you can expect their ownerships to not quite double on my end, but probably be close to like at least another 50% to 75%.
Well, what I was going to say is back in the horse racing days, there was the guy I used to go to the track with named John DeMott Jr. And he would always say this. He would say, okay, before the race starts, you look at your tickets and you say, okay, before I completely just stop, with what I'm putting in, I want to ask myself this question. What is going to come in that's going to make me really pissed that I don't have it? And then I would go back and get that bet too. So I'm just going to just say it to you that after a week last week of playing Wolf, if he comes back today and wins the tournament with you only having 1% of them, I don't think you're going to be happy. I really think from your perspective, given that you took a pretty decent stand on him when no one wanted him last week, and now it's 7,400, no one's going to play him again. And if
you got him struggle on the course when it was playing easy. Like I don't see him on the same course thriving with it tougher. Now he could, but it doesn't really suit his game necessarily. He is a wild card. I actually don't mind him. It's just there's a lot of guys this week that I sort of have more. I sort of like more, and he might end up in 4 or 5% by the end of it. Again,
that's all I'm asking. Get just for me, play 4%.
Okay, all right. So you know what? I'll make a little note to do that. 4% for Sheets.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, so I'm spread out more than I really want to be, obviously, right now. But again, like I said, I'm just trying to explain what I'm going to end up doing. It's going to be
and Bobby, I have to tell you, as an investor, I mean, I invest in your State Kings. I probably have at least 0.0002% of your action. So you gotta take my advice.
Okay, absolutely, no problem there. But yeah, I need to whittle down. I don't like Rory as much as Rory Sabatini, although I still am interested in the price. Maybe I'm gonna cut some of that ownership. I could use a guy like Wolf instead. There's a lot of little ways I can pivot, and then I'll still leave them in one of these tournaments. The other guy I'm kind of considering getting on a little bit more just because of his irons being really good. Was Doc Redman.
Yeah, I got on a little of him actually.
Yeah, but I haven't committed to that one yet, and I don't know. I'm sort of struggling a little bit with a lot of guys who I like. That's basically where I'm at. I mean, I'm going to actually probably have to look at. I haven't done my latest thing, which is the weather, and then that's going to dictate. At least if there is going to be a storm part of the day, Friday, the guys in the afternoon, I'm just going to downgrade a little bit.
Oh no.
No, but I'd have to do it. I mean,
but I didn't know that there was going to be.
No, it's just I just heard of the possibility. Honestly, I haven't done the weather check today yet, so. We'll see, but I'm going to have to do that. I have to go through all my pairings. I do think it's interesting. There's been all this narrative, like these guys are talking about how, especially now, it feels like who they're playing with really does matter. Like it's affecting.
Really?
Yeah, there's guys who've been talking about this, I guess. So I heard that on a couple different podcasts. But anyway, I just think it's like interesting to try and piece together whatever I can.
Well, tell me a little more. Tell me.
Definitive.
Say that again.
I'm sorry not to be more definitive on my final plays. I just feel like I'm really struggling with narrowing down right now. So this showing this board shouldn't really matter because it's not going to end up like this. The only thing I can promise you is the guys I like the most in the top end, and there's going to be 3+ that I have more than 30% of.
Well, I'm gonna ask you about somebody that you mentioned, because here's a guy that I struggled with how much, if any, to play of him was in that upper 7,800 range. I see you with Garcia. So between Casey, Leishman, Garcia, right? Do you have? I mean, Casey seems to be the safest of them,
right?
But
even that's a perception. He's only played one tournament since being back and all that.
Right. So for me, I'm just probably would just err towards the two least owned of them, and that would be Leishman and On.
I'm going to end up with 20% of On. I know it. I have 13% of him right now. I like him more and more the more I think about it. And Answer's a guy who I have some of, but I probably don't just want to be like right near. I might just take a stand. I actually like Answer a ton.
I meant Ann, not Answer. But,
yeah.
Okay.
The problem, I need to stop looking at guys who I might not have. I just need to get these, some of these 10% down to 5, and some of these 15s to 25, and some of the 30s up to 50. And I want to do it with trying to stay consistent to my core. The problem is I just have more of a spread out core than I would like at this time. But again, I promise it's not going to end up.
Well, you know what though? That's kind of the blessing and the curse of playing like a bunch of lineups. Like for me, for example, I'm playing 20 lineups. I just know there's no way I'm getting everybody that I could play. And I'm just kind of just making peace with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I got my 20. I'm just not going to have everybody. Where if I have a feeling that if I played like 100 lineups, I would sprinkle in just kind of shitty opinions. You know what I mean? Not that your opinions are shitty.
I mean,
but
like if we're talking about the Millionaire Maker, it's a okay. I think, because I'm just gonna say so the guy who won last week had, what did he have? Charles Howell the third at 0.74%. In addition to all the other stuff, right? That was 0.49%. I think he was. So he had, I think, 2 lineups with him in it.
Who do you have? Who you had, Howell or Hoffman?
Hoffman, I mean, sorry.
Right. Okay.
And he had him in 2 lineups. You know what I mean? Like it's not like everybody's winning with a committed guy on every, thing. People may have been committed with Matt Wolff the week before, but all those guys who were in the 60 whatever hundreds in the top 10, like I think Danny Willett might have even been one of them. At least he was up there, as far as I remember. Yeah, he was 4th a couple weeks ago, or his last time out. You know what I mean? There's no reason for these guys who are going to be completely unknown that they, even in a tougher field, that they're not going to be able to put it together. I mean, Danny Willett's won the U.S. Open before. Like, it's not like he can't play some good rounds. So I want to get more of guys who I just feel like are strong in this field. And I know what you mean about them all being bunched up, but I like Garcia on and Cantlay quite a bit. I'm just trying to avoid getting just too much of the same guys. I just need to thin it out.
Casey, you mean?
Casey, excuse me.
Okay.
Casey and Cantlay are the 2 guys I always get mixed up as well. And you have a bunch of Patrick Reed, which I'm interested in, but I'm just not going there.
It's golf.
There's just too many, but again, I'm still too spread out. I do think you can afford to be really spread out and have a bunch of 10%ers or 5%ers and things like that.
Well, the way
3 or 4 guys, maybe in my case, 6 or 7 guys that those are in almost all my lineups.
Yeah, Finau at less than 10% is a little interesting to me.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a little bit higher on him personally. The problem is it's that range. I mean, everybody's going to come back with Reed. Reed picked up 7 strokes on the green last week.
Oh.
If he doesn't do that, but it's easy to say that with a lot of guys. So I always look at my bigger buy-ins. Again, even if I did it now by money, you'd still have Rory in 50% of my, or 60% of my lineup.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like look at the higher ones that he's up there. You'd have Cantlay in 50% closer, 45 or 50%. Matsuyama is probably around 40%. So in terms of money, I'm allocating like that, but I am taking more wild card chances. I'm sure there's more optimum ways, and everybody says their things. I've just noticed how crazy variant this game is, and I've come close a couple times. I mean, I was second last week for a while, and we had another second where
it's amazing.
2 weeks back. So while this is not necessarily ideal, and I'm still a little too spread out, I'm going to narrow it down. I'm still going to be more spread out than most other top pros, probably. Just because the variance, I don't see it. I think I want to just embrace it more. And I think that's basically how I know how to put it. Sheets?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm just trying to come up with my winner here. I'm between 3 guys.
Oh, Bud Colley's another guy, by the way. I'm starting to get on a little bit. I just haven't made the change.
So let me see your FanDuel. Is there any major difference between your FanDuel build and your
FanDuel is very easy to get 3 top guys in. So I tried to opt for, in my big buy-in, who I don't have that much exposure to on my other side. But again, he'll be a part of my bigger buy-in lineup. Some of them is Bryce and Kopka. Just go a little narrative, and then Rahm in there, who price-wise looks more expensive on FanDuel. He's still going to be high on because you can get in all the top guys over here easier. And then I just played the safer and guys I liked in the middle a lot, like Hadwin and Glover, and then played Gooch.
Yeah, I have 12 lineups on only playing 12 lineups on FanDuel, and I think 10 of them have Rory in them. So we'll
yeah.
We will. I'm very, very concentrated.
I'm going to end up with more Rory over here. This was based on my initial trying to do something a little bit different over here builds. There's a few price tags. Mostly you could get everybody in, but I tried to actually still pay down where I could, just because you're getting a huge ownership difference.
What time is it? Does it start tomorrow?
So it's in 14 hours from now. So that would be
25. Now, does it have the? Should probably check out the when these guys start, right?
Yeah, so I mean that's what I'm gonna need to. I try to do these things in order, and I do let a lot of that stuff sometimes be a little bit the final decider when I have everybody just bunched up for me.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of who I'm going to be sweating when they do the live stream on PGA Tour. Okay, I guess we're good. I mean, I got a lot going on. I got my mom coming over. We're ordering food in.
What do you guys
got? And then when she leaves, we have MMA, we have NASCAR. I mean, I got all kinds of crap going on tonight, and not to mention finalizing this the PGA. Which, by the way, I forgot to mention. I told you offline, but I don't want to promote a particular site, but if anybody's interested, the site that I had the best ROI on last week was Fantasy Draft. Actually, Fantasy Draft has you pick 7 golfers and you toss the worst score.
Huh.
Yeah. And hey,
a lot more fun than sweat. Everybody feels like they're in it.
It is, and it's funny. And then it's like if you have a too balanced a build and everybody's kind of the same, you've wasted you didn't behave efficiently, right? So I actually played on both Yahoo and Fantasy Draft last week, and I'm gonna go do that again. And so there's a lot going on, and I'm kind of psyched about it.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend. I'm not playing all the other ones that you are. I'm getting ready, saving it for what's going to be a smorgasbord of stuff. Well, I'll be doing shows. I don't even know. It'll be happening a million times a day. Anyway, guys, this is going to be fun, and I think this weekend's a really good one. This should be a really fun tournament. You got a lot of fun narratives. Tiger coming back. We didn't really talk much about Tiger.
Are you playing him?
I'm sort of like I'm having a hard time getting away from just that it's Tiger at 9K. Like it's hard for me to just decide like I don't know, but I don't want to be crazy on him. I want to be like maybe a little bit below the field or right near the field. I don't feel strongly enough to go either which way on him personally. But I also he's the one who would scare me the most to fade because like he could run away with a tournament that we're fading him in, and there's nobody else who I would be doing that to. So I don't know. That's just not where I'm gonna go.
All right, so this is what we're gonna do. We're going to do like our morning grind game, right? This is what I want. I want you can give me the winner of the tournament, and then you can give me the somebody that's like has no chance to win that's going to finish in the top 5. You can judge that however you want. In other words, somebody that's under 8K or something that's going to finish in the top 5, and just give me the winner of the tournament.
7K or under.
7K or under. Okay.
Top 5 is a little tough because you could win him with these guys being top 10. So, but
I just mean for as far as performance goes. Yeah, it's got to be top 5. Under 7K or under 8K? Under 7K, okay.
7K or under.
Oh, I got mine easy. Okay, so who do you got?
I'm gonna look at my ownerships real quick before I make my answer, if that's okay. Wow. The problem is I would probably say Furyk, but I wouldn't say him for top 5. If you said top 10, I would.
Let's go. We'll do top 10 then.
Well, I still don't know. Actually, I like him better for a top 15, top 20 personally. Okay, I'm going to say Danny Willett.
Okay. And I'm going to go with the guy that nobody could pronounce. I'm going to go with Jason Kokrak.
Okay. By the way, I do think Taylor Gooch, but maybe not for top 5. That's where you get me is the top 5 part of it is a lot.
Right.
But yeah, if it was under 8K, I guess that would have been easier. I would have said Benny On.
So we'll do an 8K then.
I mean, Paul Casey's too obvious. So I'm going to say Benny On is more.
No, 8K's got to win though, under 8K. So you're going to go, because I got an under 8K that's probably going to win. So
it's probably going to win. Who's your under 8K that's going to win it?
Leishman's probably going to win.
I actually like that Leishman one. I just started adding him a little bit right before.
He's going to win, or he's going to go +4 the first day. So we'll see.
Let's see. Under 8K to win. I mean, Paul Casey can win the tournament. So I'm just.
All right. So there you go. And overall, your most likely. I mean, whatever. I would say most likely. Just who's the winner?
The winner of the tournament is going to be Rory.
The winner of the tournament is going to be Jon Rahm.
All right. But Jon Rahm, you're playing the super chalk there. He's going to end up being, I'm telling you, by the end of it, he might be your 30% that we were talking about.
But he's not 30% to win the tournament. I mean.
No. But I actually I do like that. I actually have a lot of, I want to get more of Rahm. I want to be above the field, but the problem is I'm just struggling. I have above the field. I want to be.
He's going to be 25% owned for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Especially in the higher buy-ins. I would be really surprised if he's not actually. you think about him just versus Tiger and the ownership, like it doesn't really like make, and he's been playing, Tiger hasn't, and I don't know. Anyway, Sheets, how about one other, let's do one other hot take. We did the winner, we did the other one. Let's just say the most.
All right, who's gonna miss the cut? Who's gonna miss the cut that's over 9K? How about that?
I don't know if any of those guys are gonna miss the cut.
Well, that's what makes it hard, man. I mean, this is.
Let's see. I might go really, really wild. The easy one would be, I think people would say Koepka, but I actually I think he's got upside in this tournament. I think it actually probably would be him in terms of most likely to miss the cut. But I guess DJ, or who I'm gonna pick? I'm gonna pick who's been incredibly consistent, but because I'm gonna be he's one of the guys I have to be below on this week if I want to get anywhere, is Hovland. And that's my wild card one.
Yeah, and I'll go with the easier one that you almost took. I'll take DJ.
Oh, DJ. Oh, all right. I actually think I have DJ with the field because he's another one.
What do you mean? You have 3% of him?
10%. I think he's going to be a little bit close.
I don't think anybody's going to play him.
I think you're most. I don't know. I actually think he's not as bad a play as we think.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, he could be sneaky, but I'm planning to miss the cut.
I was playing him thinking he'd be low on, so that was sort of my thing. But I like that call too. I don't think that I think his upside is huge, and I think that his downside is also huge. All right, Sheets. This is good. Guys, for Sheets, I'm Bobby saying we will see you at the top of leaderboards this weekend.
Hopefully